my name is Steven Aragami. Today I'm going to be doing my movie analysis on Daddy's Home 2 that was released in 2017. It's the sequel to Daddy's Home 1 that was released in 2015. So first I'm going to give a brief summary of Daddy's Home 1, just so we can kind of orient ourselves where Daddy's Home 2 begins, and then discuss some of the major struggles in the film, as well as some of the things the characters could have done differently to improve their relationships. So, in the first film, Brad, who is a radio executive, marries Sarah. She has 2 kids, Megan and Dylan. Brad's very caring, very kind. He just wants to be a good stepfather to his new stepkids. But unfortunately, their biological father, Dusty, who is in the Special Forces, comes into town and wants to be a part of their lives again. He wasn't really around very much at all when they were growing up. But this makes Brad very jealous because Dusty is very good looking, he's very athletic, so it kind of leads Brad to do some very irrational things, as well as Dusty. They're both trying to win the kids over. So it basically just becomes a family feud between them for the duration of this film. At the end, they finally decide to put their squabbles away for the kids' sake. They work as what they call co-dads now. Also, at the very end of the film, Dusty gets remarried to Karen, who has a daughter of her own named Adriana. And at the end of the film, her biological father, Roger, comes into town. This kind of puts Dusty in a very similar situation that Brad had been in, and he's very jealous of Roger because he's even more good looking, more wealthy, more athletic. But so this kind of orients us to where the second film begins. So Brad and Dusty are co-dads, very involved in their kids' lives, working together, especially like volunteering for school functions. For one school function coming up is a school play. And for this, the kids get to talk about what they love about Christmas, since Christmas is coming up very soon. And Megan goes up there and she says she doesn't like Christmas because she has to spend it with 2 different parents, and she would rather just have one Christmas. This gets Brad and Dusty thinking, alright, well they can just have one, what they call together Christmas, and try that out for the first time. At the same time, Dusty's dad, Kurt, comes into town, and they barely ever talk to each other. Don't have a very open relationship. So it's kind of offsetting for Dusty. At the same time, Brad's dad, Don, is coming, but he's very involved in Brad's life. They're very caring and affectionate to one another, so it's no surprise that he was going to be there. But so when they finally get together for their together Christmas, Kurt books an Airbnb for them just outside of town. One of the first things they do when they get there is they go shopping for a Christmas tree. And Dylan wants to talk to Brad about girls because he's not really sure what to do. Dusty is pretty jealous of the situation because Brad gave him the talk and not Dusty. And later that night, they go to an improv night that Brad had planned for his father because Dawn is taking improv classes, so Brad wanted to kind of let him hone his skills in a little bit. So one of the skits that he does, they have to pick a human relationship, and Dusty decides to pick divorce because he knew that Dawn was divorced to Brad's mom. However, Brad didn't know this yet because Dawn had kind of been deceiving him this whole time, not telling him about it. So this is kind of Dusty's payback for it, but Dawn basically breaks up on stage, he falls apart, Brad learns of the divorce, and the next day, which is Christmas Eve, he wants to get back at Dusty. So he calls Roger to have him come up because he knew Dusty is jealous of Roger. So they had a special event planned that night. They were doing a nativity scene reenactment. Basically, all hell broke loose. All their feelings bubbled up to the surface, and actually they got into a physical altercation. They started throwing snowballs at each other. So no one wanted to be there anymore. No one wanted to be a part of this. The next day was Christmas, so they all wanted to just go home, but there was a blizzard, so they couldn't. They ended up having to actually turn back, and the only place that was open was a mall. So they went to the mall. There they were all stuck there together, so they had to talk their feelings out. And then in a normal, common comedy movie ending, they basically basically sang a song, Christmas song together, and worked all their feelings out, and so that was the end of the film. But so some of the major struggles in the film, they're all pretty much relationship based. There's a trend you can see with a lot of the relationships together. But so one of the main ones I wanted to talk about was the one between Brad and Dawn. And so basically they've always had a very open relationship with each other. However, now that Dawn didn't talk to Brad about the divorce, he felt very betrayed about it. It's kind of hard for him since he'd been lied to for so long about the divorce from his father. Another big one is the one between Kurt and Dusty. They really never had an honest, open relationship with each other. It was ever since he was a kid, they never talked about their feelings. They're both very sarcastic people. They're both very dominant male figure types. They don't really discuss their feelings at all. One of the other major struggles is between Brad and Dusty. Pretty much the same thing as in the first film. They keep on just harboring negative feelings for each other. And in this one, toward the end of the film, is when they finally kind of let the harbor open. And that's when things get messy, especially like in the nativity scene, they started throwing snowballs at each other. And then finally, the other major struggle that I want to discuss was the one between Dusty's jealousy for Brad and Dawn's relationship. He wanted to have a best relationship with his father because, like I said, Brad and Dawn are very caring, very affectionate to one another, and so Dusty was very jealous of that. So some things they could have done differently. I'll start with Brad and Dawn first. If Dawn would have told Brad about the divorce, then Brad wouldn't have felt so betrayed by it. He would have only had to deal with the divorce rather than also knowing that his father had lied to him the entire time. Because this kind of led to mistrust in the relationship, and commonly mistrust and no lack of communication can lead to relationships ending. Fortunately for them, it didn't, but in a lot of relationships it does. And then for Dusty and Kurt, also, they should have just been all honest and communicated their feelings to one another. If they would have, it wouldn't have got to the point where there's almost no relationship to salvage at all. Honesty and communication are two of the most important factors in any relationship. So they should have practiced that, and that would have solved a lot of their relationship issues. And then between Brad and Dusty, same thing. If they would have been honest and communicated their feelings to one another, they wouldn't have just kept them up inside and let them kind of build up until it burst out and they just kind of raged at each other about their feelings. So if they would have just been honest, then I feel like they would have been able to get past a lot of the issues that they had in the film. And then finally, Dusty being jealous of Brad and Dawn's relationship. If he would have handled that in a lot different manner, like we discussed in class, jealousy, you can either turn it into a positive behavior change or negative behavior change. If he would have made a positive, then he could have kind of built the relationship with his father up more. Rather, he chose to go the negative route, so he tried to kind of destroy Brad and Dawn's relationship, and that's when on the improv night he gave that suggestion for divorce because he kind of knew that it would put a ripple between them and the relationship that he wanted with his own father. So those are just some of the examples of relationships that were in the film, the major ones. There were a lot others, but the big trend is honesty and communication. That's obviously one of the most important parts of any relationship and should always be practiced if you want to grow a relationship. So yeah, that's my movie review on Daddy's Home 2. Thank you.